Hi, I'm Alex Finkle. I'm, again, a technical theater major at Casper College, and I'm here at the Tate Museum with,
Hi, I'm Melissa Connely. I'm the Kleinhammer Earth Science Chair here at Casper College in the Geology Department.
all right, welcome, Melissa. So recently, the Tate Museum staff was on a show called Prehistoric Road Trip, and if you don't know, it's featured on PBS, so go watch that. That's a good show. Tell us about the show itself, like from your perspective.
The show was great. If you hadn't seen it on PBS, there was three-part series, and I found it just fascinating because it reminded me of kind of my childhood and my discovery of science and paleontology. And it's a great show for all peoples in their interests and all ages. So I thoroughly enjoyed the show itself.
And writing off of that, what was your take on the show itself? There were a lot of female scientists featured. There weren't, which is kind of rare to see in a show circled around like what seems to be a male-based line of work. But what was your take on the show?
Actually, I was quite surprised, even though Emily, who was the host, being female, obviously, but when I was young, girls didn't do a lot of science, and we weren't encouraged to do science. And so it just really made me feel proud to be part of a program and colleagues here that treated us all equal. It was really amazing. And I was really surprised when I saw the show how many female paleontologists there were in the Rocky Mountain region. And so that again, it just really made me proud to be part of that.
How was it working with Emily and her crew, like within the show? Yeah, we're gonna end it there.
Well, I have participated with other filming crews in the past, and Emily and her team were amazing. They made us feel comfortable. We all enjoyed what we were doing. Nobody was nervous or worried about anything, and she made us laugh. And it was really kind of great. One of the things I kind of noticed is that she wouldn't talk to us about any of the topics that we wanted to discuss online or on air until we were actually filming, so that she would be surprised and be excited about what she'd learned from us instead of trying to rehearse or what's the term? So it wasn't overly organized. It was really random. And that was really kind of a surprise, and I found that kind of fascinating.
So within the show, you speak with Emily about research that you did while at Casper College. Can you elaborate on your research and how it impacted your career to this day, I guess?
Yes, and I still work on them. In the show, I talked about the pterodactyl footprints that we have here at Casper College, and we have some of the largest collections of pterosaur tracks in the world. And as an undergraduate, I helped in the museum and helped with the exhibits and did all kinds of museum stuff. And we came across a publication that talked about how pterodactyls walked on all fours. And we assumed from previous work that these were pterosaur tracks. And then a new publication came out that said, no, pterosaurs walked on 2 legs instead of 4 legs. And so that made us scratch our head and said, well, if that's the case, then what are these? So I was part of a team that made a copy of the track and sent it to a well-known track expert who concluded that these were pterosaur tracks. And because of that, and their research and continued research kind of convinced the world that pterosaurs do actually walk on all fours and not on 2 legs, as previously described. So the tracks here at Casper College really kind of taught the world or showed the world the behavior of pterodactyls that lived, 145 million years ago. And nothing's more exciting than to find out how animals behaved in the past like that.
So what advice would you give to students who want to come into this field or work in a museum or work with as many things as you do? What kind of advice would you give to those students who are hoping to move into these fields?
Well, first of all, try to always look for your dreams and try to live for them. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. When I was an undergraduate student, of course, I was always interested in science, but I was always told that's not a field that I should be going into. And then one day, the director of the museum, Jerry Nelson, put out a little notice in the school paper, I think it was, saying that they were looking for volunteers at the Tate Museum. And one day I met him on the street and I said, "Are you still looking for volunteers?" And he goes, "Yeah, come on up." And so I did. I came up and they put me to work. They put me in a little closet with a little bone and gave me a toothbrush. And I scrubbed on that bone for, weeks and weeks and weeks. But it was the most fascinating thing I've ever done. And while I did that, I learned so many other things. I learned about science and I learned about the history of the earth. And it just sparked that passion, that internal passion that was suppressed all those years. And then I met people who encouraged me to move forward and, gave me that confidence that I could actually do that and live those dreams that I've always wanted to live. And so my advice to anybody, regardless of your age or your gender or your race, anything, just live your passion and do it. And do it by volunteering, by getting to know the right people, to just get your foot in the door and keep trying and read. All of those things are really important.
Well, thank you, Mel. This has been very informative, actually. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and thank you for taking the time to visit with us.
And thank you to the dinosaur.
And thanks to the dinosaur.